Hello, my dear students. We all know that the growth of internet has dramatically changed our daily life. In fact, still it is changing our everyday life. One of the most common use of internet is e-banking. Means now we have started availing the services of banks with the help of internet. So, e-banking or electronic banking now has become a part of our life, and it is a virtual banking and another delivery channel for the customers. E-banking stands for, we all know, electronic banking or banking using electronic media, or we can say that e-banking is the internet banking. Any user with a PC or a browser, PC means you can consider PC, laptop as also a part of PC, and a browser can get connected to the bank's website to perform any of the virtual banking functions and avail of any of the bank's services. There is no human operator to respond to the need of the customers. The bank has a centralized database that is web enabled. All the services that bank has permitted on the internet are displayed on the menu. The various services offered by the banks to their customers are as follows. We will discuss them one by one in detail. The first service that they provide is electronic fund transfer. The electronic fund transfer is basically of two types, NEFT and RTGS. NEFT stands for National Electronic Fund Transfer and RTGS stands for Real-Time Cross Settlement. Now look into the NEFT. The fund transfer takes place between two NEFT enabled bank accounts on the batch basis, and they settles the fund transfer in hourly batches of 30 minutes on weekdays only, whereas in RTGS, fund transfer takes place on a real time and on a gross basis. Real time stands for payment transaction are settled as soon as they are processed. It means as soon as you will apply for the cash transaction, immediately it will start, unlike NEFT. Now, any transfer taking place after specified time is settled in the next settlement cycle. Means once the batch formation is over and now you are requesting for the fund transfer, it will take place in the next batch. Or if the next batch is scheduled on next day, and if the next day is holiday, whether it is second or fourth Saturday or Sunday, so it will take place on Monday. And there is no lower or upper limit on the transfer of the funds. Whereas in RTGS, there is a set limit, means the minimum limit set is 2 lakhs and upper limit no limit, but generally it is used for the high value transaction. And one more thing, gross basis stands for payment transaction settled on one-to-one basis. And you remember in NEFT, the payments transactions are settled in batches. Hope NEFT and RTGS are now clear to you. The next one is ATM, that is automated teller machine. You all are aware of this ATM machine. It is a computerized machine that provides the customers of banks the facility of accessing their accounts with a magnetically encoded plastic card and a PIN, which is unique to each and every customer. The next services is EDI or electronic data interchange. It is the transfer of data from one to another computer system by message formatting. It permits to exchange the documents electronically. So you can see that generally it is simply termed as a paperless trading. It means it is between the two banks when they have to exchange the confidential data or the documents related to their working. EDI also permits multiple companies, possibly in the different countries, to exchange their documents electronically. Now the next one is POS, means point of sales. Now what is POS? It is the physical location of the sale of the goods or services and of the location of the transaction. Means it is the point where sales or the sale is taking place. But usually POS refers to any device or system used to facilitate the transaction, and they record the same for the retailers. Means we can say that these are the devices generally where we swipe our debit or credit card for the payment of the goods purchased or the service availed. Finally, the banking cards, they are the plastic electronic secured cards with magnetic strip issued by the banks to their customers for the digital payments and for other uses. These banking cards, once again, we will discuss in details at the time of the types of the digital payment. Before moving ahead, let's see a flow chart given in your NCERT book. What is the transaction of goods or services? Then after purchasing goods or availing services, you will do the payment. Payment either can be done in cash or you can use digital mode or non-cash payment. For digital or non-cash payment, either credit cards or e-banking. Now one more thing, credit cards used by any customer are also there in the services provided by the e-banking. After e-banking, here it is written USSD, and USSD is further classified into 7 ways of digital payment. But here I want to say you one thing, that all these 7 ways of e-payment or digital payments are not a type of USSD. USSD itself is a type of digital payment. So we will discuss all those 8 mode of digital payment individually, not as a part of USSD. So let's start. The most prevalent digital payment trends, means the mode of payments that are trending nowadays are due to e-banking, banking cards, USSD, AEPS, UPI, BHIM, point of sales, micro ATM and mobile wallet. Let's see what are these. We will start with USSD. USSD stands for Unstructured Supplementary Service Data. It is a type of digital payment method in which *99 hashtag can be used to carry out mobile transaction without downloading any application or any app. In this type, payment can be made without mobile data facility, means no need of having internet connection in the phone. Okay, the main purpose of using or implementing USSD is to create an environment of inclusion among the undeserved section of society and to integrate them into mainstream banking or cashless banking. In simple words, we can say that this function for USSD was introduced so that cashless banking must reach to those people also who cannot afford the data facility or internet in their phone. This service can be used to initiate fund transfer, or you can have a look at the bank statement and make balance queries also. The next mode is banking cards. Already we have discussed what are banking cards. Banking cards are categorized into debit card, credit card and prepaid card. Let's discuss them in detail. Debit card are those cards which are issued by the banks to their customers who keep deposits with the bank. It means who are having savings account with the banks. A debit card again is a plastic card bearing the bank's name, customer's name, identity and signature. The debit card holder can purchase goods or avail services from the retail shop or from anywhere by making the payment through the debit card by swiping the card through the POS terminal. Then the money will automatically transfer from the account of the purchaser to the seller's account. The next card is credit card. Credit card is issued by the bank or by any of the financial institution to buy the goods or avail the services on credit. A maximum amount or credit limit is set in advance. You cannot purchase beyond that limit. And once you purchase, interest are added by the issuer, especially when the payment is not done on time. Clear? The next one is prepaid cards. Again, prepaid cards are the payment instrument in which money is loaded in advance to use in future. They are little bit different from credit or debit card. They may or may not be linked with the bank account of the customer or a bank account of the card holder. Example is given, metro card or petrol card. If you travel by Delhi Metro and if you are having a metro card, it means that you will have to pay in advance. A lump sum amount of payment has to be done to the Delhi Metro to have the cards, and you can top up the cards also. And while traveling, when you are using the cards, the fare amount is deducted from the card. The next one is AEPS, that is Aadhaar enabled payment system. As you can easily infer, that means to use this facility you must have Aadhaar number along with you, and that must be linked to your bank account. So here all banking transactions are carried out through a banking correspondent based on Aadhaar verification. Service can be availed only when Aadhaar number is registered with the bank where account is held. It is the most advanced method among all the digital payment. Clear? There is no need to physically visit a branch or to have the debit or credit card or even to make signature on the documents, because already everything has been saved in your Aadhaar card. UPI, Unified Payments Interface. Any customer holding any bank account can send and receive money through a UPI based app on a mobile phone whose number is linked to the same bank account. The service allows a user to link more than one bank account on a UPI app on their smartphone to initiate fund transfer or to make or to avail any of the services of the banks on a 24/7 basis. You can see the slides carefully to know the how to use the UPI on your phone. Now, next one is BHIM. BHIM stands for Bharat Interface for Money. It is a mobile payment app developed by Government of India. App can be used by anyone having mobile number, bank account and debit card. It also works in collaboration with UPI. In this slide also you can see the various steps of starting with BHIM app and using its services or availing its services. Micro ATM, the swiping machine. It is the mini version of an ATM. Already we have discussed about the ATM. Generally, micro ATM are modified point of sales POS terminals connected to the banking network to perform banking transactions. Generally, machines are carried by the bank representative to the remote locations to the customers. Clear? Machines contains the card swipe facility and the fingerprint scanner. They are handy in nature but are not capable of keeping any cash. Cash are being carried by the bank representative. Clear? Who is responsible for collecting cash and depositing in it? The user account. Generally, micro ATM is used for the remote locations or the villages where network connection is very poor and where bank cannot afford to install their ATMs and all. After micro ATM, let's move on to POS. Once again, already discussed what are POS. Here it is written physical POS. Different types of POS are there. Physical POS are kept at shops and stores for receiving the payments. Mobile POS, just like micro ATM, work through a tablet or smartphone which can be taken to the customer, and virtual POS use web-based application to process the payment. Clear? And the last one is mobile wallet. Mobile wallet are the virtual wallet services or service used by or can be used by downloading an app. The digital or mobile wallet stores bank account information or debit or credit card information in an encoded format to allow secure payments. Clear? One can also add money to their mobile wallet by using the same to make payments and purchase goods and services. Example that you can see: Paytm, MobiKwik, Freecharge. Yeah, now Google has removed the Paytm app from their Play Store because of their some policy violation, but still we can consider it as an example of mobile wallet. After knowing the various modes of digital payment, let's move on to the benefits of online banking. And we know that online banking provides us with a lot of benefits, even both to customers as well as to the banks. Now let's see what are the benefits of e-banking to the customers. They provide 24 hours, 365 days a year services to the customers of the bank. Customers can make permitted transactions from the office or house or while traveling by using mobile phone. Means they can avail the services of banks from anywhere. It inculcates a sense of financial discipline by recording each and every transaction. Once you are using e-banking for the financial transactions, each and everything is being recorded in the server of the bank. It provides greater customer satisfaction by offering unlimited access to the bank, which are not limited by the walls of the branch. Means for availing any of the service, you need not to go to the bank itself, but you can avail the services from anywhere and at any time. And last one, there is a less risk and greater security as they can avoid traveling with cash. So you are secure with your cash. Now, benefits of e-banking for the banks. E-banking provides competitive advantages to the bank. They provide unlimited network to the bank and is not limited to the number of branches. Load on branches can be considerably reduced by establishing centralized database and by taking over some of the accounting functions. Clear? The banks who are providing the e-banking services, no doubt they will be considered as better than the others. Unlimited network to the bank means customers are not restricted to the number of branches that the bank is having in that locality or in that city or whatever. From anywhere people can approach the bank or they can avail the services. As well as load on the branches is reduced now because most of the applications of the banks are being used online. So it helps the bank to reduce the cost of transaction also. So finally we have come to the end of this topic, that is electronic banking or e-banking. In this topic, in this video, you have studied about the concept of e-banking, what are the various modes of digital payment of the e-banking, what are the benefits of the e-banking both to the customers as well as to the banks. More topic we have discussed, that is the services provided by the e-banking. Clear? Now after this we will start with the insurance from our next video. Insurance is also a type of business services. Thank you for your patient listening and patient watching the video.